Scotland may have to weather a bit of a backlash from our French team who are hurting a lot after last week. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. This matchup has been exciting to watch. The last few seasons, always ding-dong battle between these two. Interesting one this year, I think, because you have like two teams who, although Scotland won against Wales, it almost feels like two teams who are looking to get things back on track, because you have France with that, performance against Ireland. They're not going to be happy with that. And, they're definitely coming for Scotland, but it doesn't mean that they're going to get a better result than they did last week, because the Scots know that's coming, and maybe it's going to play into Scotland's hand in terms of just having more space and more chances to attack. But yeah, so France coming off the back of a poor performance and looking to just re-establish themselves as a genuine title threat. Scotland coming off the back of a poor second half performance and looking to maybe wrest the momentum back again, get their second win. And, in this tournament, if you get to 2 wins out of 2, then, that's when it really starts to kind of materialize the fact that title is potentially on for the team, right? Obviously, we've seen teams coming back from opening losses and winning the title, but if you're at 2 from 2, then you're just thinking, okay, win the next one, and we're maybe one victory away from taking the title. If results go our way, we're 2 victories away from a Grand Slam. So and it's just this step-by-step process in this tournament, right? It's why I love it. It's that teams can go from being down in the doldrums to suddenly, no, we're back in the hunt now, and it changes every game, every round, and it's just so exciting. But this is when Scotland versus France is on Saturday, 10th of February 2024. Kickoff is 2:15 GMT, so adjust to your local time from there. It's at Scottish Gas Murrayfield in Edinburgh. Last year was 32-21, France winning, and we always see plenty of scores in this one, and because of the way both teams play, you never really rule one out unless somebody's winning by 50 points. We're not ruling the opposition out in this matchup here, because both teams have that ability to just quick fire and score tries and suddenly turn what was a big potential game-winning deficit into nail biter at the end, and that's what we're hoping for. I think in this, it could turn out to be like 9-6, but either way, I think it's going to be an enthralling game, and there's a lot on the line for both of these teams as well in this. So we're going to have a look at the teams. We're going to start with Scotland, and then we'll do France, and then we'll come back and go through the teams in a bit more depth. I don't know how long this video is going to be, because I just finished a 40-odd minute one on England versus Wales that I thought I was going to make in about 20 minutes. So who knows? But I'm going to enjoy making it, and I hope you're going to enjoy watching it. So let's go and have a look at our Scotland team. So if I can pull it up here. Yeah. So fullback, we got Kyle Rowe in there again. So, no Blair Kinghorn in this one. So, we'll have to see, like, Rowe could potentially, have a run in the team if they win this. So next then you got Kyle Steyn on the right wing. We've got Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu in the centres. Duhan van der Merwe on left wing. Halfbacks then Finn Russell, co-captain, with and then Ben White in 9. Front row is Pierre Schoeman, George Turner, Xander Fagerson. Second row, Grant Gilchrist and Scott Cummings. Back row then we've got Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey. The bench then we got Ewan Ashman, Alec Hepburn, Elliot Miller-Mills, Sam Skinner, Andy Christie, George Horn, Ben Healy and Cameron Redpath. Okay, so that is our France team now, Scotland team. Now let's have a look at the France team. So France front row by Mauvaka and Antonio. Second row is Woki and Gabrielage. I thought he was decent off the bench. Then Kroos and Aldrit and Olivon. The halfback pairings, Luku and Jalabert. Left wing, Biel Biauri. Right wing, Panot. Centres, Dante and Fiku. Full back, Ramos. On the bench then, we got Marchand, Taufi Fanua, Aldaheri, Tuilagi, Roma, Boden, Lagaric, and Mo Fana. Boden, my Canadian friend who knows a hockey player with the same name, told me how to say that name, but I can never remember, so maybe I got somewhere close, who knows. Okay, so let's have a close look at the Scotland team. So again, Kyle Rowe at the fullback there. We don't have Kinghorn. They're very different players. Like Kinghorn, we talked about before, he's got that ball playing ability and the ability to be a second distributor, and obviously a big threat as well, making breaks and scoring tries. But Rowe, he looked decent against Wales, and he's worth another go there, I think. Right wing then, Kyle Steyn, another player who's kind of deputising for, someone who, if they were fit, would be in the team, but he's a decent winger, and if you give him chances, he's going to finish them, and generally pretty solid as well as all-around game. Centre pairing then, Hugh Jones, Sione Tupolatu. We saw them kind of clicking a bit in the first half, but like the rest of the Scotland team, not so much in the second half against Wales. Gotta be on it for most of the game, I feel. In this one, they're gonna get, like, France's defence, not gonna be happy with how the defence went against Ireland, so expecting them to be tighter overall, but it doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to get opportunities, and it's about taking those opportunities and be able to link up together and bring in the rest of the backline as well. Duhan van der Merwe, we've seen it. If the guy can come off his wing and get into space, you're in absolute trouble if he gets in behind you, because he's so hard to stop. It's the fact that he's I think when he came onto the international scene first, he was obviously a big guy. He was used to being able to run over people or bump them off, and he almost looked for contact. Now you can see, we saw in his try, his second try last week, that he's avoiding contact a lot more, and it's just making it so much more difficult to stop this guy getting over the try line. Expecting him to score in this one, honestly. Finn Russell then, co-captain at 10. To call himself, a lot of talk, like, because of the the last year's Six Nations Netflix series, him calling himself the Lionel Messi of rugby, but like the guy has the skills to pay the bills, as I say. Always exciting to watch. Sometimes maybe as a Scotland supporter, I guess, like most of the time, it's like, oh, he's just amazing player, and then he gives you a heart attack, if 2 or 3 times in a game, but then he just does something sensational that makes everything all good and cozy again. He's there with Ben White at 9. White went well last week, so it makes sense, I think, for these two to try and form a long-term partnership there at halfbacks. Then front row, Pierre Schumann. We got a try last week, but I thought all around, a decent contribution to his team's effort. And when he went off, I felt that they missed him as well. George Turner there. Things seem to go well for Scotland again in that first half, and then second half things going against him. So, Turner last year was a breakout, I feel, for Scotland in the Six Nations. So this is a big game for him to show that he can reach that level again and turn in wherever. I don't know whether he's going to do 80 minutes or whether it's going to be 60 minutes, but wherever it is to turn in a performance for his full match at least. Then Xander Ferguson there, a tight head. We know what Xander can give you, and it's about whether he can kind of hit the heights that we've seen him hit before, especially against what is a really abrasive French front row. Into second row then, I've got Grant Gilchrist there, so no Richie Gray this week. I thought Gray had a great game last week. It's a real pity that he's out for this one, and he's in there with Scott Cummings in the second row, so not really settled in their second row, and we've seen that through last year as well. So let's see how these two go together. You want your line out to function well. Generally, Scotland's line out functions fairly well, but I feel like all of the Northern Hemisphere teams have had some kind of hiccup with the line out in the last year or so, and Scotland no different than that. But generally, you'd expect their line out to be pretty decent. So a lot resting on these guys' shoulders in making sure that comes to fruition on this one as well. Matt Ferguson there. At 6, he's the guy that's in and out of the starting team a lot, and he's going to be a guy that feels like he has something to prove in this one. Rory Darge coming in, with no Jamie Ritchie this week, so I think the fact that Ritchie no longer the captain kind of made this kind of inevitable that once Darge was ready, he was going to come in, and Richie was either going to be shifted out of position or at least out of 7, and then maybe lose his place in the team, which has happened. But yeah, if Rory Darge is your co-captain, if he's fit, you're picking him, and then it's about getting that balance right in your back row, and whether Richie suits that or not, we'll have to see. But I think this Scotland back row isn't settled yet. It's going to change through the tournament. You got Jack Dempsey there at 8. He's a decent ball carrying option, and gets through decent work as well in the tight. Replacements then, Ewan Ashman. Really like the look of him. It's just about kind of similar to Turner last year in that he's just going to have that game where he feels comfortable at kind of this level, and whether he's going to be able to do that in this game, these are the kind of games when they feel massive, and this game does feel massive, that if you can perform in it, then suddenly your whole mindset changes in terms of how you see yourself, and the fact that whether you belong at this level or not, because I think a lot of players, when they step up, kind of find it difficult, and then you do need that those performances. So if you can do that off the bench, maybe we're going to see him kind of himself and Turner then have a decent rivalry through the tournament, and that's what you want. You want your players on the bench really pushing the guy that's starting, for his place, and making sure that guy then who's starting has to be on his game, or you're going to step in for him. And then we got Alec Hepburn and Elliot Miller-Mills as replacement props. So two guys, when they come on against the replacement French front row, they're really going to be examined, and I think we're going to find out a lot about these two in that second half when those changes happen. You've got Sam Skinner there covering the second row. I think in terms of, if you look at the two starters and him, you could swap him in, I think, into that starting front row, and there wouldn't be too many arguments about it. So I think he's going to add something at least when he comes off the bench. Then we have and I think that's what Scotland need this week as well, is that they didn't really, Wales had a lot of impact off the bench. Scotland really did not last week, so we're looking for these bench guys to really step up for them. Then we've got Andy Christie there, a guy with a great opportunity now to come in and be that guy that gives him that impetus off the bench. So when he comes on, he's either going to, you see this a lot actually, people coming on and either they smash someone or they have a great carry or they get a yellow card and it goes to the bunker or something. So we'll see which one of those happens to him in this game, I guess. Right, then we've got George Horn there, covering 9. Like, he's a nice option to have on the bench. Got Ben Healy, who is an option on the bench, but it seems like he doesn't get on unless Finn Russell gets injured, and we don't want Finn Russell getting injured because the guy is so mercurial. But still, I suppose he's the best option in terms of if Russell does go down, he's your best player to put in at 10. But does he get on the pitch if Russell plays the whole game is the question, really, I think. Then we've Cam Redpath there, who will come on, where he comes on in the back line. I think we'll have a lot kind of to say, or in terms of how the game is going, whether he, where he's going to come on that, in terms of are Scotland, chasing the game, or are they trying to defend the lead? And I think that will kind of play at least a part in where he comes on. So that is the Scotland team in the detail. Now on to the French team. So front row retained. So Cyril Bay, he's a class act. Always busy around the park, always a huge threat at the breakdown. Mao Vaca, we saw him being a threat last week as well. As I said about most of the hookers, got to get those darts right. You strip your team of so much impetus if you're throwing crooked or throwing over the top. So we'll see how he goes with that. Antonio, I thought, he would have been one of the players to make way, and drop down to the bench and then be there, like, to have some impact. I thought Al Daheri might have actually gotten the start this week. Didn't happen, but I guess at the moment he's definitely the guy in possession. But if it's another poor team performance this week, he's certainly someone that I'd be looking at in terms of dropping to the bench. Watch him now be absolutely sensational in this game and just rip Scotland a new one. So we look out for that, I guess. Second row then, you got Wokey there. Love that guy. Such a superb athlete. And, there's so many, France has so much talent in that second row. You think, like, Willemse obviously out suspended, and then Flamand as well, not available, and then you have a guy like Wokey there as well, who can come in and just be so excellent there. And then we have Gabri Lag, again butchering his name, but I like him to look at that guy, and the fact that he's getting a start here now, he's going to be fired up. The back row then, you got all that talent in there, and it kind of feels like after last week, if you these guys are just so class that it's hard for somebody else to come in and push one of them out. But maybe they could have done with freshening up their back row again. But these guys are proud, and as a unit, they've got another chance this week. Like Kroos, Aldrit, Olabon. Aldrit, he's been in great form recently, and the other two beside him as well. It's just about being able to kind of work as a unit and work on to each other's strengths as well. If they can do that and get on top of the Scotland back row, which again isn't settled, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with Rory Darge as well at the breakdown, if these guys are able to kind of nullify him and get their own kind of their own poachers over the ball. I think the breakdown is going to be a big part of who wins this game, and it often is. But when you look at these two teams, you got plenty of poachers in the team, so they're going to be going after the opposition ball, and they're also going to they both love playing with quick ball themselves. So the clean outs got to be good, but you got to be also very careful with your clean outs. You do not want to smack somebody in the head and end up going to the bunker. So I think there's going to be a lot of focus on the breakdown in this game, and this unit are going to have a big say in that. Then we have Luku starting at 9. I thought that Legaric would have gotten the nod ahead of him, because Legaric was so good off the bench against Ireland in terms of, like, compared to the rest of the team, at least, gave them a lot of impetus, but he's been kept in reserve again. Hopefully, Luku has a decent game. For me, I want to see all the players playing well, and just for us to enjoy the rugby, and then we'll see who wins kind of in the end, if that makes any sense. Jalabert at 10, his pack got kind of not really beaten up by Ireland, because Ireland, other than Joe McCarthy, don't have the size to beat a pack like France is up, but they certainly were second best, and for him that kind of made things difficult. Expecting to be more even here, and expect him to have more of an influence on the game. Wings, then we have BLBRE, who, another guy like Legaric, who looked decent off the bench for France. There weren't that many, but he did spur them on a little bit. The guy is just stardust. He's got plenty of talent there. If he gets into space on the wing, he's going to be scoring. And you look at the wingers in this, like, you got BLBRE, you got Pernod, and then on the other side you got Stain and Van der Merwe. Like, you could see, honestly, all four of them bagging tries with this one, and that's what we're hoping for. Obviously, a try fest, but a close try fest. I don't want it to be like, one team winning by like 25 points or something, and there being like 20 tries in the game, because that's going to be boring if one team is way ahead. But yeah, this guy, it really is a talent. Pernod, he's one of those players at test level where you almost just give him a try before the game starts, because he's going to score one, and I think he's going to score one. Honestly, he's just that talented, and he's such a great finisher. It's very rare that when he actually gets a sniff of a try that he doesn't deliver. Centers, then I got Dante and Fiku. I talked about probably Mo Fana would be the guy that lost out, because these two as a partnership are I think too good. Dante, another breakdown threat. Fiku, he's got the skills going forward and in defence as well. Definitely one of the best centres in the world, and France need him to step up. And that battle with what was a great Scottish pairing as well. So that's another little mini battle to see in the game. Ramos there, full back. He's such a great player. So many things that he can do well. His kicking game off the tee as well. Obviously, he's the kicker for the team, but out of hand, kick receipt as well, coming into the line, and then defense too. So a big kind of linchpin in this team, and it's hard to see anyone kind of pulling that shirt off his back, at least in the short term. Onto the bench, then you got Marchand there, who he's going to want to take that number 2 shirt back. So I'm expecting big things from him off the bench. Then Taufi Fanua and Al Daheri. I thought they were kind of decent when they come on. I thought Francis Scrum went well, I think, but I'm trying to think. I can't remember last week now. I know Al Daheri was on the bench. I think Taufi Fanua was too, but my old man brain is going, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But either way, we've seen him plenty of times having impact off the bench for France, and again, expect that in this one. Expect like the levels to go up, and especially against what is relatively a less experience, or feels at least like a less experienced replacement front row for Scotland. That could be an area where France are targeting. Then we've got Tuilagi there. You know, everybody wanted to see when he come on how things would go for him. He did have some impact, but he certainly wasn't like, you know, in terms of his bulk and his size, a Will Skelton for La Rochelle type, you know, impact on the game, especially against those Irish boys, the Leinster ones especially, who've been on the wrong side of him for a long time. But, you know, he's a young guy, and he's obviously got the talent. He wouldn't be in the squad if he didn't. And, you know, having to come on to a side who are getting outplayed is difficult for any young player, doesn't matter how big he is. So expecting, you know, a better performance from him this week. Then we got Roma there covering the back row as well. And we got Bodahen too. So you got plenty of like 6-2 split there. So plenty of forward power to come on. And, you know, obviously France, they have plenty of skills in the back line and plenty of skills as well handling in the forwards, but it feels like, you know, they want to try and batter Scotland as well with these guys off the bench. Then you got Legaric, who's going to inject pace into their attack as well, and then Mo Fana at 23 covering you know, whatever position he needs to come on, whether that's centre or on the wing, probably, you know, the most likely spots for him. But, you know, two teams here who everybody knows they got great running games, but these two teams love to kick as well. So being secure under that high ball, and also your kick chase has got to be spot on, because if you're kicking to people like Bielbarri, Pinot, Steyn, Van der Merwe, and you're off on your kick chase and you let that guy get into space and run the ball back at you, you're in for all kinds of trouble on that. So we'll see plenty of kicking in the game, but you got to be smart about your kicking as well, and you've got to make it so that, you know, your kicks are either contestable or you're turning your man and you're getting up there and you're making sure that there's no space for them. I can see in this game that I think at least that we're probably going to see a couple of tries, you know, coming from breaks that came from kick returns. You know, poor kicks get returned, somebody breaks the line, and then you're in behind, and either it's, you know, you've got to support there and it gets finished off, or you get, you know, get stopped, but you recycle enough and the pressure is already there on the opposition that you can get to the edge or get to that space and get over and score. I'm expecting probably a couple of tries from scenarios like that in this game, just because of how much both of these teams kick, and also how well both of these teams return per kicks as well. So how do I think, you know, we're going to go in terms of the victor in this one? Well, like, I'm honestly, I haven't made my mind up, and we're going to make it up. You're going to see me make it up right in front of you here, because I'm thinking Scotland, they're at home. Yes, they were poor in that second half against Wales, but they do well generally against France because the French style suits them. Both love, you know, to attack off turnover ball, and there's going to be plenty of turnover ball and chances to do that in this game. And, you know, they've got that whole thing of being able to, again, not feel like they're out of it. I think they're more confident against France than they are against Ireland. And, you know, they're probably one of the more confident teams in the Six Nations against France, certainly in recent years. And because of that home you know, advantages as well, I'm thinking I'm edging towards Scotland to win. But it's this whole thing of a backlash from France, and the fact that, you know, France were up there, you know, competing with Ireland for the number one spot in the world all through last year as well. That, and then, you know, through last year's Six Nations too, like neck and neck between the two of them. That I've got to think that if they can reach those heights, they still will have just enough, and I do mean just enough, to pip this Scotland side. And because of that, I'm going to go with a France win. Okay, so that's the end of this one. Right now, the England-Wales one is actually rendering in the background on my computer here. Luckily, well, I hope at least you can't hear the jet engine that is the fan on my computer when it's rendering stuff. But yeah, that's this one done. We're going to have a obviously preview for Ireland versus Italy as well, which I will record on Friday and hopefully have up on Friday evening as well. So this week, I feel like I'm a little, like last week I was a little bit lost because, as I said, something that I had planned or that not, something that was in the works didn't come off, and then I had a couple of days when I wasn't that well, and suddenly it's it's on top of us. We're about to start, and I had to record a bunch of videos in short time, whereas this week I feel more organized, and I have more time to do it, which is lucky because these videos are long. But again, I'm not going to apologize for the length of the videos. I think they're going to be as long as they need to be. I'm not going to cut things short just to attract a crowd that likes short videos or whatever, because I make videos for people like myself who maybe want to hear a bit more in depth about things and have a bit of a longer discussion and not just kind of get hitting bullet points and moving on to the next thing. So I make no apologies for that. It does mean that my videos maybe, like, some people are not even going to click on it because of the length, or going to click away because I'm not going at the pace that I want, but that's fine. The people that stick around are the people that I'm making the videos for anyway. But as I said, there's going to be more coming in the week. I would love those of you who do enjoy the video, if you would, hit a like, post a comment as well. Who do you think is going to win, or how do you think the game is going to go in terms of this whole French backlash even, and also just your thoughts on this selections in general.